For those of you who do not know, my special guest tonight is Wendy Yawching, who rose to the ranks of BWI's first female captain, but she is much, much more than that, as you will hear in the next hour or so. She is also an author. Her book, The Courage to Fly, is being sold out everywhere from what I've seen. And it really is an awesome read, especially to start the year. And I think especially for everyone, but especially for young women who find themselves questioning themselves and questioning their goals and their dreams and what they would like to do with their time on this earth. It was a really, really good read. As you know, I got through it in probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, because I just really could not put it down. And so we are lucky enough to have a conversation with Captain Wendy. I love calling Wendy. I feel like Wendy just does not do justice. So Captain Wendy, thank you for being here.
I am so honored to be here, Golda. Thank you for having me. And you know, I feel more comfortable if you call me Wendy, okay?
No problem at all. So let's, okay, I will do that. I will try, but I just, something about Captain Wendy really rings to me, but I will try with Wendy tonight. So Wendy, let's start off with why you set out to write The Courage to Fly. Why did you decide to write a book?
That's actually quite a long story. People have been asking me to write a book about my life because I've had an amazing life for many years. And I always resisted because first of all, I never thought of myself as a writer, and I was too busy doing stuff and living life. And I kept putting it off. And one of the big reasons I put it off is because I'm also a very private person. And even though many of the things that I did brought people's attention to me, I was able to separate what I did from who I was. And so I didn't share myself with the world in general very easily. So writing a book meant to me that I had to share more than I was comfortable with, and I just avoided the issue. The change came during COVID. Locked me down, and I turned inside, and I turned to learning stuff. And in the years of COVID, I couldn't run off and travel and do all the amazing things I love to do. And so I started taking courses, and my courses were centered around learning how to really be powerful and reach out on virtually, because I found that my feng shui consultancy, which had always been in person until then, I needed to connect with my clients on the internet, and I needed to make sure that I could present and project myself, my energy really well, really intimately in a virtual manner. So I did all kinds of courses to get those skills, and that made it easier for me to contemplate sharing myself with the world through a book. And even so, I resisted writing the book until I realized that the energy of the world was so full of fear during COVID. Everybody was losing hope, worried about what would come next, what could they do, what would the world be like? And I thought, my God, the energy is so contracting, so fearful, so negative. Each of us needed to do something to uplift that energy and to change the chi. Another feng shui phrase, change the chi. What can I do? And it came back to, I have an amazing, inspiring story inside of me. And perhaps if I share that in the right way, I can add to the uplifting of the chi and help people to regain their hope, their optimism, their dreams. And that's why I finally wrote The Courage to Fly.
And you just mentioned, I'm really glad that you wrote the book and that this was one of the things that, COVID gave to us, the pandemic gave to us. There were certain gifts in the crisis, and this was certainly one of them. You mentioned that you had this amazing story. Did you always believe that your story was amazing? I've read it, and I certainly feel like it's amazing, but having lived it, did you always get that sense that it was an
I think we're having a few issues with the volume.
You were carrying out an amazing narrative?
I didn't see it as that. I see it as that because other people reflected that to me. I was busy living, and my life, in my life choices, I followed my passions. Did I always know that I could? No. It took me many years before I realized that I could follow my dreams and do whatever I needed to do if I had the right heart, if I had the right faith, and if I put the work in. And once I got through that wall, the wall of other people's expectations about what a woman should be when I was growing up. Once I got through that wall, and it took me many years before I got over that wall, then nothing really stopped me in making choices that followed my passions. And other people would look at me and reflect that that was amazing, which is why they kept saying, you should write a book, you should write a book, as I got on, later on in life and retired from flying. But I wasn't aware that it was amazing. I was literally following my heart in whatever I chose to do. Were you able to hear me? Because I think we had a few volume issues.
Yes, we did. And I heard the first part of your response. And so I can follow up on it. I'm sorry if the audio is dipping. As I said before, we've been having some technical challenges with it, but we are trying to write them out and hopefully they will resolve themselves. So let's talk a little bit about the actual. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about the actual story. Now, there are people who are watching who probably have read the book and others who have not read the book. So we don't want to give away all of the juicy bits, but you do have an amazing professional journey. And the thing that really stands out to me, or one of the things that stood out to me, is the fact that you knew from a very, very young age what you wanted to do.
Yes, I did. And I was told that I couldn't. That
and
girls
there were,
do that. So.
Right. So would you mind sharing that story about where the seed was planted in you to become a pilot and some of the obstacles that stood in your way?
That was chapter 1 for anybody who wants to read the book. I basically, I think I was inspired when I was 10 years old from seeing airplanes flying across the sky and making those wonderful white jet trails, contrails. That's when I found this love in my heart, this feeling, I want to do that. I want to fly those planes. I want to be a pilot. But it was unheard of in my family. There was nobody in my world that was a pilot. And surely at that time in Trinidad and Tobago, it was a while back, women didn't fly airplanes. So the message from the time I was 10, and I got that dream, and it booted out my dream of being a ballerina and all the other things that I wanted to do as a girl. From then until I was in my 20s, I truly believed that I couldn't be a pilot ever because girls didn't do that. And it was the story of my life. I stopped believing, I stopped dreaming. I proceeded along the normal pathways until I lived abroad for a while and was shown that girls could do anything they wanted to. And I reignited my dream. So it took many, many years. And one of the reasons why I wrote this book, and one of the hopes of this book, is that from reading my story, women particularly will believe in themselves without having to go through such a long journey to find that faith.
That's awesome. And you talk about we have that thing that we feel that we've been called to do, but getting to it, the journey to actually achieving it is long and difficult. And that was another thing that stood out in the book for me. You talked about the actual steps that you had to take and the sacrifice to make that dream a reality. It was hard work, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And very often I got knocked off of my path and, thrown down to the ground and had to get up on my knees and start crawling and start walking and then start running. It happened many times. What got me there? I guess you'd like to know that. I believe that
it definitely, that came across.
Yes. The key of it really is when you listen to your heart and you follow your heart and you're sure that you believe, you can see it, you can see the mountain, you can see the light, and there's all these valleys in between. Somehow the valleys and the other hills become part of the journey, part of the learning, part of giving you the muscles to do what you have to do. If you are always aware of where you are going because it's in the dream in your heart, then it's not really as scary or as challenging as people will think it is when you read my story. I actually had no doubt that one day I was going to get there. I just didn't know when that day was. I didn't know what else I had to do to get there. But I believed against all the odds and against everything that the world, everybody told me, I believed I was going to get there. And so it was simply me stepping forward with faith and with work and with love, with passion. I was following my ikigai. Remember that name, that word from the book, Golda?
I didn't hear the name that you just said. You were following?
My ikigai. It's a Japanese word and I love it. It's a word for when there's something in your life that makes you get out of bed in the morning feeling, yes, oh, it's going to be hard work.
I remember it,
okay. Yes, when you're following your ikigai,
yeah.
And all the things that get in the way are not huge challenges that you can't, they are things that you simply have to find a way around or find a way through and learn how to deal with. They're part of the journey. When you're following other people's idea of what your life should be like, then all those things are walls and blockages and big boulders. Following your ikigai, it's just, it's part of getting to it. And when you get to it, then the success is even sweeter. And I think that every single one of us has a dream of their heart, an ikigai. The thing is that we don't always have the courage to go after it. And much of the reason we don't go after it is because of the framework in which we live. People will tell us that we shouldn't. People have their little boxes that they want to put us in. We have roles that society tells us we should be following. We've taken on a lifestyle, or we have followed one path and now we feel it's too late to shift paths, or we are too old, or we're too poor, we're too fat, or we're not educated enough. We think of all the reasons why we shouldn't, instead of saying, this is the dream of my heart. This is what will make me excited and passionate and sure. And I don't care how hard it's going to be, I'm going to do it. And that is what an ikigai does for you. I think everybody has one. We just need to listen to it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and allow ourselves to believe it's our ikigai.
Yeah. I absolutely love the way that you put it, this, internal spark within you. I learned the word after reading your book. There were voices of criticism, and very powerful voices of criticism from the people who love you, the people closest to you. How did you come to, cope with that? How did you conquer those voices in your life, the voices of protest and those that were against?
I didn't conquer them. For the first, as I said, maybe 14 years of my adult life, from 10 to say 24, I struggled a bit, but I listened to them because I was a well-brought-up little girl in Trinidad and I was going to convent. I listened to all the voices. I programmed myself accordingly. So I didn't fight. I swallowed my dream. I just gave it up. I would like to do this, but I can't because girls don't do that. So I did all the things I was supposed to. And as I said, when I went to live abroad and I was away from the Trinidadian influence, and I'm so sorry, folks, but that's how Trinidad was at that time. And I was away from the family circle, which laughed at me basically and said, yeah, you'll grow out of it. Girls don't do that. They love me, but they didn't think they thought it was a pipe dream and one that I should best put aside and be, do the things that that would make me a good woman. And so when I was away from that, I was then free to look around and to see what other women were doing and realize, my God, women are driving trucks and women are flying planes up in Canada. And not many, but they are. And so why can't I, And that's when I was able to start my path. Now, when I told them I was going to do that, they were horrified, but I was in Canada and they were in Trinidad. So and so I started my journey, and the doubts were there, and the phone calls were there, and the worries were there, and the fears were there. A lot of them my parents were afraid of me doing this crazy thing. And over time, as they saw, I found my feet, and I succeeded with my first job. And I did it all myself. I paid my way every step of the way, as you know from the book. When I got my first job and they saw how happy I was, the resistance started to melt. And then they saw that, hey, she flew for a whole year and she didn't die. Their fear started to get smaller. And so they started to support me and I get excited about it. So by the time I became a captain, they were roaring on my side. but it was a lifelong journey for them. So it was a journey of growth for them too. So we're telling everybody, the book. So,
not the entire thing, not the entire thing. As a matter of fact, I had, known somewhat about your journey and your professional career, but many things that I didn't expect to surprise me in the book did. And I believe that even though many people are listening to this conversation and it seems to give a lot away, there's so much more in there. It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper on every level. So I wanted to talk a little bit about when you ascended to captain and there was all of this spotlight on you and all of this attention towards you because you were a trailblazer for women. Did that pressure influence you at all? Did you see it as pressure or did you see it as an opportunity? What was your feeling at that time?
Golda, that was what I was born to do. I reached my heart's desire when I became a captain. Becoming a pilot was one step. A captain, it was what I was meant to do. I felt at home. I felt happy. I felt magnified, and I have to tell you why. Because when I was not a captain, when I was a pilot coming up through the ranks, and I had much experience in the ranks, I loved it, but I never realized how huge the view of the captain was until I had those boots to fill. That's when I realized that as a captain, you were expected by the world. Everything's on your shoulders, right? Everybody's looking at you to be the one who makes a safe flight from A to B with all these people on board, and the responsibility and the blame is yours. And I realized I loved it. I didn't feel it as pressure or stress. I thrived under it. And I was constantly trying to learn to be better and to see more, because we all see what we all have our little field of vision. And as a captain, everybody thinks you can see the whole pie. And I realized, well, I can see a big piece of the pie, but I can't see the whole pie. Actually, I need to learn more and learn more and learn more. So I never stopped learning. And then I realized, even as I learn, I need my team. I can't do it all without my team. And I just loved that whole environment where it was a life of learning, doing something I loved, doing it beautifully, doing it well, having a team that you support, we were like an orchestra, and having that orchestra playing this music. Girl, I really loved it. So no, I didn't feel the pressure as a negative thing. I felt the pressure as, this is what I've done all this work for, and I love doing it. Now, were there stresses involved from people and, other people who couldn't handle the fact that I was there? Yes, of course. But they were really trivial compared to my joy of being in that place. And I can, if I died tomorrow, I would say I achieved not only one of my dreams, but one of my biggest dreams, and I lived it to the max. So I am really happy. I'm happy. I mean, how many people can say that? Which is why, again, I wrote the book, because I want everyone to feel it. I want everyone to go for it and know that they can, and believe that they can, and experience that.
Wow, that is amazing and extremely inspirational. So you've written the book to share your experience as an inspiration to others. And what would you say to those who, may not have identified their dream, just yet? You did it when you were 10 years old. You found your ikigai. There are those who are watching who have not found theirs. Is there something in this for them?
Yes, there surely is. One, I'd say read the book. Two, know that there is in each of us a seed of light that is what you're really here to do. And it might be that you have several different things you need to do or here to do. This one was one of mine. I'm doing other things I consider really huge right now, but it's not that one. And know that you have something inside of you. So you haven't found it. Why haven't you found it? Perhaps because you have been told all your life that you should go a certain way. You've been told when you expressed it, like I was, you could never do it, and you believe them. Perhaps you've followed one path and now you think it's too late to change. Just know that it's there. And if you're not feeling what I expressed to you about how I felt, you haven't found it yet. If you haven't found it yet, don't be too hard on yourself and don't think that it's too late. It's not too late. Second thing is read the book, because in that book, which is my way of telling you, yes, you can. Every step of the book is a lesson for you, as well as a story from me to help inspire you for that lesson. There is a free gift attached to the book. There's a downloadable e-journal that you can use to follow along my journey with your own journey and go deep inside yourself and try to find that seed and try to come up with a way of working towards your goal and your dreams. So you download the ebook. It's free. It's right there. First page, top right corner, and use it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful journal, and it's for you. This book is written for you, to inspire you, to help you. And then there's also another gift that I've given in the book. It's a VIP discount to my amazing, life-changing, transformational vision board course. And that will help you find the courage to fly as well. It's called New Beginnings. And it is a 4-day intensive where we go way below the surface. I say 7 levels deep, to finding out what really makes you tick in many areas of your life, and then what you would like to dream from that place to bring into your life, and an action plan. If you're interested in that, the next one is at the end of January, and certainly I'd love to have you. But this book is the beginning. This book is a guide to make you feel that you want to take those steps. So read the book. It will inspire you. Every single person who has read it has had the same reaction as Golda.
I certainly agree. And I do also agree with you that it is written for us. It is written for us. I felt that. I felt like as I went through chapter by chapter, that you were my guide on a journey of self-discovery. So I was discovering, I was learning about you, but also discovering new things about myself as I read every chapter. And it invited me to do a bit of introspection as well. You know, is this really my ikigai? Am I where I'm supposed to be? Have I drowned out the voices of criticism? Have I, come into my self-actualization? Am I on the right path? Is what I'm trying to say. And that experience was generous.
And Golda, do you know, I thought, okay, I've written this book and it's for young ladies, young women setting out on their life the way I did when I needed this guidance. And then I found that the people who are buying my book and reading my book are women of all ages. They're buying them to give to their daughters, but they're reading it first. And men as well. I've had a 79-year-old man tell me, I reminded him to follow his dreams. An 80-something-year-old man saying, you reminded me not to wait for life to happen to me, but to go out there and do it. 80-something. So I'm like, wow, that wasn't who I was aiming at, but I'm so glad if everybody at every age has a reason to find the courage to fly. And I am so thrilled by that. I'm so thrilled by that. But yes, I wrote it initially for young adult women.
No, you can definitely tell. And if you're watching and you haven't already gotten a copy of the book or given it to the young woman or the young person in your life, we strongly encourage you to do that. In addition to which, there was that part of it, but there was also this inside view of the cockpit. Like, I mean, I fly all the time and I just never had all. And I oftentimes pray for the pilots because I don't like flying. I don't like it at all. I don't envy anyone who has to do it as a task for their life. But you showed me the beauty of it. I saw beauty in it. And I'm not going to give away, but there are certain scenes that you described that are absolutely breathtaking. So that part of it as well. So Captain Wendy, if we could, go ahead. Well,
I was just going to say, as you said
I saw you were going to speak. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I got the goosebumps that I always get when I'm reading those chapters at book readings, because I spoke from my heart. My book is written from my heart about my life, but it's written for you from my heart. And when I read those chapters about the beauty of flying, I'm expressing how I feel in the cockpit, and people feel it. I have people crying at my book readings when I read those chapters and from the beauty of it. So yes, I'm expressing my love. Yeah. It's magic. It's magical for me.
So it's a magic that I did not understand existed. I didn't understand that magic existed. And I'm sure that end up reading the book after this conversation, you would agree with us. So Captain Wendy, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about life after flying, because as you said, this is your ikigai, but it's also something that you no longer do, but you do other things. other things that have filled you and given you joy. Talk a little bit about that journey, the after when you're on the ground, the journey on the ground now, not in the air.
You know, many pilots find that when they retire, they don't know what to do with themselves, because the job itself, the lifestyle, has so many exciting bits. Yeah, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of pressure, but there's a lot of exciting bits, and people, you get hooked on that, and very often pilots don't do anything but. But I always was a multifaceted kind of girl, and so I had many hobbies, many things that I did with my spare time, such as I had. And so when I retired from flying, I didn't have this big black hole that one might imagine, even though I gave up this ikigai of mine. I had other things that I love to do, including travel, fitness, meditation, etc., etc. And then I decided, because I'm not a very quiet, passive type of person, that I would like to do other things with the rest of my life. And so I started looking around to see what else I could do. And I tried many different things, and I came up with feng shui. So as you know, I became a master feng shui consultant, and that is what I have been doing for years. I'm still, before COVID, still traveling. I was traveling quite a lot. I dance. I'm a competitive Latin dancer, ballroom dancer, which involves Latin. And I hike and I kayak and I do outdoor stuff. And I feel really, really, I do work for NGOs. I help, I do good things for organizations in Tobago that help the environment and help young people, etc. And I just feel as though life is busy, rich and full. And now I've written a book, and it's busier, richer and fuller. And one day, I guess I will become quiet and play golf, or learn to play golf, but it hasn't happened yet. I've been too busy.
Indeed, you're not slowing down at all. And that in itself is inspirational, because so many of us can think about life after retirement as nothing, but it is, from your example, very fulfilling and rich. I wanted to just bring in a couple of the comments that we have from the folks who are watching us. Thank you for those of you who've stayed with us. I know that there have been a couple of audio hiccups here, but we're just really happy to have Wendy sharing with us, and we encourage you to get the book. Someone says, Wendy has always been a humble individual. I worked with her at the airline in her times of service. They said, what an inspiration, as well as thank you for sharing your story, and people are saying where they're viewing from, etc. I have a question for you. There's a comment here from someone who says that they are battling, with their own anxiety and the fear of doing anything, really. And they're asking if you have any advice for overcoming that.
Well, again, I start with, please read the book, because that will help you. And try to do the journal, because that will help you. In terms of fear, I think that it is something that sometimes we need outside help with. And getting a counselor might be a good idea, getting someone who can, try to find the source of that fear. But meditation and prayer are always my go-tos for giving me confidence when I feel that feeling inside of me about whether I'm good enough, or whether I can or I can't. So if you have a spiritual path, start there. And if you need someone's help, don't ever be afraid to ask for it, and just find the right person that you need to help you.
Thank you so much for that response. And finally, from me, there are young people and older people, everyone who watches this video. This is an opportunity to share a message with them. We know that people are, well, from my experience and my point of view, people are sadder than ever before. I have many friends who suffer with anxiety and depression. Many others I know who are lonely. People complain about being unfulfilled in their jobs and being busy all the time. And I've had my own complications with that. We have the opportunity this evening to speak to people and to give them some encouragement, and to share a word with them. So before I ask you to share where the book is sold and to give us those details, what would you say to those listening who feel lost?
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps again. I would say, Trust. Trust even in your darkest hour. Trust that you are here. The reason you are alive, you are breathing for a reason. You have a purpose in this world. The purpose may not be being the First Lady Captain, and nobody said your purpose has to be big and bright and shining for everybody to see. But your purpose might mean the world to some one person. You have a purpose in this world, whether it's you taking, you helping abandoned animals or children. You have a purpose. So trust that even in your darkest hour, you have value. Your life has value. Never doubt that. Go back to prayer, go back to meditation, get help if you need it to step out of the pothole that you might be in, but have trust. Trust that the clouds will pass. They may take a while, but they will pass if you trust and believe and do whatever you need to do to step forward. Sometimes you get knocked down so hard, you think you can't get up. I know that feeling. I sit here before you now and everybody thinks, oh, it was easy. It was not easy. Read the book. But you get up and have faith and have trust and do the steps. Trust that the clouds will pass. Trust that there's sunshine waiting for you. Trust that there's a gift in these clouds that you can use to make yourself better, bigger, stronger, braver. Every cloud you have has a gift that can make you into a deeper, wider person if it's reframed and if you maybe have someone who can help you reframe it, because sometimes we can't do it by ourselves. Trust that there is a purpose and believe that you will get there. You will emerge from the darkness and the clouds with that help, stronger, wiser, deeper. And one day you'll be able to fly. This book is not about me being a pilot. This book is about you finding your own wings, about you learning to fly whatever your dream might be that makes you get that feeling that I have. And this dream is about you becoming the captain of your own life, your own ship. It's not about me, it's about you. But you have to start. Trust.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. The people who are watching, some of those who are watching are saying excellent advice. Thank you for sharing those words with us. The book is called The Courage to Fly. Wendy, you can tell us where we can find this book, how we can source it. Perhaps we can share the link as well on this video once it is posted. Tell us where we can find the book and get our hands on it tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, Amazon.com. Both the ebook and the paperback are there available, especially for the worldwide audience. In Trinidad and Tobago, it's available in many of the bookstores, but I think it got sold out for Christmas. So you'd have to give them a couple of weeks to get it back on shelves. So tomorrow morning, Amazon. Give us a couple of weeks, and Nigel Can, RIK, paper-based, etc., in Metropolitan Bookstore in Trinidad will have it again. And I look forward to your support and to hearing from you guys. When you get the book, you'll have information about how to reach me through my website, and I would look forward to hearing from you. You'll also have the ability to download the journal that you can work with for those of you who want to work with it. Many people feel that the book is enough and exciting enough and inspiring enough, but if you want help, try the journal workbook, download it, and then you can connect with me. And if you want to take it further, we can talk.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Wendy. And there's also a Facebook page. It's called The Courage to Fly. And there you can find more information on the book. This has been a really inspiring half hour that we've had together. And I'm really grateful that you took the time to just sit here and chat with us about your awesome life and the work that you've done to share that with us as a guide. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. And thank you all for being here with us and giving us your support and your love. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone.